month.
Whoever holds the
chart
most
here.
Bitcoin wins. Like there it is. It's all it is.
Biggs and Bobs.
It's beautiful outside, so it makes complete sense. Make sure you got that mic close to you.
Yeah, I like that. Bit far away from it. It's nice and easy to move around on these.
Pretty sick, eh? Oh, hey guys. Welcome back to your future hand with Biggs and Boggs. I'm Marty Boggs.
I'm sure, Kai.
And we got Spencer on Sound and Screens. Thanks for joining us today, folks. We'd like to come at you once a week or so and share our journey through this transitioning world of finance, talk about some subjects that we believe will benefit your future hand. We do believe we're here to help, so do us a favor and smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new. Comment, let us know what you think and where you're from, and let's get right into it. What are we up to today? How can we plan for tomorrow? Shirt guy.
Thanks, Marty. First episode of the summer. It's beautiful outside.
It is nice.
And things are going well. Studio, a little renovation this week. Things are different here. Let me give you a little spinorama. But we're going to talk about a few things today. Yeah, maybe.
Looks the same to you, but it makes us feel better. It's
yeah,
pretty nice
it's
in
different.
here.
I got these lights in my face. I'm going to wear the sunnies today. Whatever. Anyway, we're going to talk about BlackRock. Bitcoin just made a nice surge in price action to a new high for 2023. So we're going to talk about BlackRock and the institutional money that may be flowing in, waiting for regulatory action. Good time to get in. Is it? Is it going to come back down? We're going to talk about it. But first, as always, a market scope.
Ooh, market scope.
So zoomed out a bit here today. We're looking at the Bitcoin versus US dollar chart on the weekly time frame. Looking at this weekly, we've now established, in my opinion, a very strong trend if we're zooming out. So what's driving these prices in these large green candles? This is institutional money. This is not Marty and myself with a couple grand.
You know what? I think I see legs there, Julian.
I mean, there's a few legs here. Yeah, but we've got these big sharp wicks down. So, I mean, honestly, I was waiting for this touch of this line here. You can see that we've made contact from the bottom back here in December, and we've been making contact with this line throughout the year here. So the last big wick down that we had there at the end of February, coming into March, before we surged to the 31K level. And just this week, we hit 31,400. So just above the previous high after this 2-month profit taking, essentially, is what this was. A little trail back to 25K. We talked about that here.
I think we said it like 10 times.
Said it like 10 times. So we called the bottom. We literally said $15,400. That's what happened. We
held the support there.
Yeah,
we took off.
We've been pretty close all year. Doesn't matter, but we've been pretty close
Ever
all
since
year.
30K, 31, we were saying 25K was likely because that was our previous resistance. It's simple technicals.
During this weekly candle, we
Right.
said the top was near. And sure enough, we went back to 25K. We called 25K. I did think it was
Took
going to
2
see
months.
mid-24s. I did say it was going to see mid-24s, but we hit a low of $24,800, I think, which is, pretty close.
And okay, one thing I want to point out too is a lot of people are like talking about BlackRock and Fidelity, all these institutions getting in, and this is a huge thing. But actually, what happened last week was the U.S. printed $500 million.
Yeah.
$500 billion, $500 billion. They printed $500 billion, I think.
No.
I don't know. I don't know. They printed money. They turned the money printer on. They printed a bunch of money, and that's what happens to Bitcoin when they do that, and they cover it up because they don't want you to really know that because it's not good for them.
But now they're just printing money and buying Bitcoin.
Well, that's yeah. So so they're pumping Bitcoin on the news because it's at a high. It had a good week, right? So obviously there's most likely going to be a sell-off.
Yeah.
There needs to be a seller when there's a buyer. And vice versa.
I do believe that. So I do want to look at this trend, though, for that reason. So we've now had these, this was actually a double tap on the bottom here. So we had, that contact there, the contact here, now here, and now here along this line of support, right? So this is now a 6-month-long trend or going into 7-month-long trend, right? And the top of that trend is on this line. Right. So this is why I do think we have a chance. This is also it splits from that major line that I have there, but essentially we could, like I said, have a small shelf here as opposed to this long drawn out profit taking that we see here. We could have a little bit of a small plateau and shelf here into July. I don't think it'll be as long before testing this, which is a major resistance of the ultimate trend from Bitcoin, right? You can see this was from the first high,
right?
When Bitcoin really, saw a large run, right?
20K.
And then it acted as support,
right,
during 2021 when we came down to 29K there, right? So that I think is the next major level that we are going to run into during this trend before the next whatever happens,
Before
right?
we
So
break trend.
before we break trend,
Before
right?
we break trend.
But I mean, it could stay in this trend. So I just think that we're going to have another high. Like everyone's right now, like, oh, we're going to see the pullback. We're
Well,
going to see the
if you
pullback.
if you pull up the RSI, it's a technical bear div on the daily. So it looks like there definitely is, like you just said, some room for a shelf or some consolidation.
Yeah.
Right. But what's
But
going to
not
happen
as-
there
it's
is a
not
lot
gonna
of
be as-
traders. A lot of traders are going to stack shorts there because
Yeah.
that's a very bearish sign.
And so, and everyone's going to think it's going to trail right back to 28 or 25. But at this point, I don't think that's. I think that hitting another high is more likely before that happening because we just broke the previous high for 2023.
Because what would that do if we hit another high? What would that do? That would suck in that many more
Yeah.
retail people.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Where's that-
Bitcoin's
yeah, we
at
gotta get the-
35,
yeah, we gotta get
Bitcoin's at
everyone's excited,
40K,
right? Everyone's
right?
excited. We
People are
gotta-
going to go nuts
Where's that
before they
whale at?
dump it. And then we're just about the same length away from the last bull run to 2020 crash when we have some sort of black swan event, and at the all-time high hype of the
So-
mid little bear market that we're in, we get dumped back down to 25K.
So if we zoom into the daily chart here, you
But
can see,
only for a matter of days potentially, and then they'll talk about it, scare everybody out, and then soak it all up when they stop talking about it.
previous
So just
previous
keep
high,
DCAing.
previous high $31,100. Current high now $31,400. So we broke that high, and now, like I said, I do think it's a chance that we just take a quick bounce here from this previous level of support that we bounced off a couple of times, see another high before another major profit taking, because we have almost another year still till the next halving, right? But
Well, and there's a lot of and there's a lot of people talking about like this whole Fidelity and BlackRock ETF, and it could double the price of Bitcoin overnight.
And that's what created the surge in 2021, because everyone was like, "Oh, well, what if the ETF goes through?" It's like, well, they've already done this, but they've had so many major issues in crypto and tried to make so many issues in crypto in 2022. Now, when you see this media hype and all these big players, these are guys that sit at the round table and decide where the money goes every 10 years. You know what I mean? Why all of a sudden are we seeing them at these highs? We're seeing them at these highs, still a long ways from the halving. So they can say and do whatever they want. The Bitcoin cycles don't change. The production doesn't change in Bitcoin.
They need to make a decision now.
Yeah, right? So, you know, and the last thing they want is just average people just getting rich and having a new system.
And all they're
right?
trying
So-
to do is keep us out while they get in.
So-
With this, all this, so they have the chairman of their organization that's supposed to keep investors safe, telling you no, keeping them out. His job is to keep you guys out, us out. But they are stacking their bags, and with Bitcoin, we can see this in the blockchain.
That's what I mean. That's who's
So
driving
it
these
doesn't
prices.
matter what happens in the news or what's happening with these regulatory organizations because they literally don't matter. Bitcoin is above everything that we have: government, SEC,
And
organizations, all this stuff.
They can continue to try to limit our access. but
Yeah, that's all they
this
can do,
is-
but they can't
this
ultimately
is
do
them-
anything to it. So it is
This
above
is
them.
them buying. This is them buying and telling you not to.
Yeah.
This is them buying and telling you not to. The price doesn't surge like that without that big, large,
It takes
large
a lot.
institutional
It takes
money,
demand, right?
So-
And the supply we know is diminishing, and now we see the demand increasing.
And,
so that only points to one thing.
One thing actually, I got the brush on still.
But either way, what's going on right now is they're trying to scare you out. Every time you see the news, they want to make sure that people don't buy.
One thing
but
I
the
wanted
fact
to-
of the matter is that we can see on the blockchain that they are buying, and the largest holder is the U.S. government.
It's true.
And all the large players are countries.
Well, and now countries are stacking mass bags.
It's
So
a
I just wanted
race
to-
for
I wanted
mass
to point this out
accumulation.
too. So I zoomed out to the monthly.
Whoever holds the
chart
most
here.
Bitcoin wins. Like there it is. That's all it is.
It's a race to the finish, and I'm here to win.
$10 a week. $10 a day. they're stacking.
Yeah,
They're stacking 10 Bitcoin a day.
I started a new thing. So I just got into Wealthsimple. Like I have my Bitcoin, I have an exchange, and I use Ledger and yada yada. But I opened a Wealthsimple account.
Seems to be doing pretty good for you. He brought all the Bitcoin to the
Yeah,
table
look
today.
at that. Oh yeah, check out these keychains too.
Yeah, speaking of which,
handmade keychains by Shirt Guy himself. So if you want a keychain, let me know.
Come
Hit
to
us in the
Shambhala.
comments. Yeah, or come to Shambhala. Anyway, but this is the monthly chart. I wanted to look at this one more time here. We just we broke 50% RSI. I'm like pointing at the screen like you guys can see what the fuck I'm doing here. We broke 50% RSI and then came down to retest. It looked like we were going to break below again, but you can see now we've shot right back above 50% RSI. So like I said, in my opinion, we've been doing this all year. And I said this on the weekly before, people thought it was going to dump far earlier in the year. And I told them very good chance we see the weekly RSI get up to the top before that happens. And that's exactly what did happen before we saw that pullback. We got a bounce right off the 70% RSI before going back down to the 50 on the weekly, and we're now back above 60. So that point that I'm trying to make is that when we get above 50% RSI and confirm that on a chart, it's more often to be a strong signal in the market. And so passing and catching the 50% RSI on the monthly chart as support is huge. This kind of tells us that the rest of the year could make this trip to 60% RSI, right? Unless we see that dump immediately and break back.
Well, I honestly think that this whole BlackRock Fidelity thing is them trying again to gain control, because all they want is control. It doesn't matter about whether it's money, whether it's Bitcoin. Their ultimate goal is to have influence and control.
Yeah.
So what they're trying to do potentially is slow this down or stop it or control it as much as they possibly can. And that's why I potentially think they might try and get their hands on as much as they can and create a big short or a big scare out.
They have to, because
retail.
they can't. The masses can't be in control of the liquidity.
They don't want. Yeah, it doesn't work for them. It doesn't work for their business.
Whether they want it or not, they have to be in control of the liquidity, which means they have to accumulate it.
Yeah.
They have no choice now.
Yeah.
Right. So when we look at this monthly chart over the last couple of years and what's happened, this is just another, again, like I've said, a larger now established trend.
You know what's crazy?
Bitcoin, right?
I know, and you're mentioning that, and it's like, okay, so now it's set in stone. This has to happen. But what the reality is, what we do as retail investors, as an individuals, is what's going to say what happens on this chart. Like that's if we stay strong and continue to accumulate, then they have no choice but to pump the price up, because we control the demand.
Look at this monthly.
But if everybody sells their Bitcoin and gets scared out of the market, then they can do whatever they want to it and they can crush it. They can do whatever. Then nothing changes. This is our chance.
So here's the entire history of Bitcoin, right? Look at look at the larger trend over the last 10 years here, and the bounce that it took off that perfect access point.
Yeah.
Axis. And look at the size of that monthly candle. Like that was so much money that came in. And before this last couple of years has been the first time that large institutional investments are coming in, which is why are we seeing these huge monthly candles, right? Look at this one in January. So as soon as we hit the bottom of that trend that's been established for 10 years, boom, it went up. So it's like, this is what I mean. It's a way stronger chance that we see these higher levels, and I do think that this level is the next one that we hit. But it's
going to take time. Like you said, we're still a ways away from the halving. So the supply shock is yet to come.
Yeah.
And when the supply shock happens, it doesn't matter if demand goes up. Because even if demand stays the same and supply gets cut in half, things double.
Yeah. So and especially for just even the 10-year, 13-year Bitcoin vets that have X amount of Bitcoin. It's like they're buying it at these levels too, and they know where to sell it too. So,
Well, anyways, I think it's time to wrap it up. Good to see you guys again. Stay focused out there, folks, because now is the time.
DCA, $10 a day.
And just don't lose focus, because people are, there's a lot of things going on. We said this, I think, last week or the week before. But it's summer. You want to be out there drinking. But just make sure you check the charts a couple times a day and keep your DCA. Bigs and Bugs out. Peace.
Sure, guy.
Oh. Digital identity is ruined. You ruined it.
That's funny. That's way better, though. Like, that thing's fucking offensive.